Hi everyone, my name is Brayden, this is Airless Quill 9, and in today's video I am talking with my friend Sean about the Druid.
Heyo!
Hello Sean, thank you for being here.
Good to be here.
So this is the new art for the Druid.
Yeah, I love the art.
We got a bunch of animals, which I like immensely.
Got one of my favorite animals there as well. Got the little owl in the corner.
I want to assume that every single one of these animals is present in some way in the handbook. I don't
I think
know.
so.
What is this? I think this is a raccoon, right?
I want to say yes, based on the where the black fur is going around the eyes.
I don't think there's a raccoon stat block, but I know that there's a weasel stat block, and a cat, and a boar, and an owl, and a deer, and a bear, and a wolf, and there's definitely a badger.
I feel like there should be one then.
This is probably just using the lizard stat block.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a generic bird stat block. There's a raven. I mean, we'll look at stat blocks because
Mm,
they are important for Druid.
very.
Alrighty. Well, here's the old Druid art. This is not bad.
It's alright, but yeah, that art's a big improvement.
Yeah, it doesn't encompass the majesty of the Druid. A nature priest of primal power. Alrighty, let's see here. Primary ability, Wisdom. Not surprised. D8 hit dice, intelligence and wisdom saving throws. These are the same. I'm of a proponent where I would have liked if Druid were Constitution and Wisdom. However, that may have been too many. WotC doesn't like classes having two saving throws that are very often used. That's why Monk isn't a Dex and Wisdom saving throws, because those are two very popular ones.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. That's why you don't see a class that has Dexterity and Constitution, or Constitution and Wisdom, or Dex and
It
Wisdom.
makes sense.
Yeah. That's an interesting tidbit. Let's see. I don't know if there's any additional skills. I don't believe so. Those look the same to me. Weapon proficiencies have been changed just to all simple weapons, which is pretty nice. I guess the only thing that means is that they've lost out on scimitars, but as we'll talk about, that's not really much of an issue. Or scimitars and sickles. Sickles are martial weapons. They still get herbalism kits. They get light armor and shields, and there is a reason for this. Because Ultra also got medium armor. They don't have this in here anymore, though. That the armor and shields have to be uh, made of like wood or something that's not metal.
Which honestly makes sense that it got rid of that,
That,
since metal does come from the earth
yeah,
and
you
from
can do.
nature.
You can play whatever kind of druid you want now, which is nice. Starting equipment is A or B: leather armor, shield, sickle. Wait, sickle?
You still get it. It
Oh,
is
wait,
it
is,
a
is
simple?
sickle a simple weapon?
It is.
Oh, it is a simple weapon. Okay, I don't know why I thought it was martial. My mistake. I'm dumb. Druidic Focus is a quarterstaff, which is cool. Explorer's Pack, Herbalism Kit, and 9 gold pieces, or a grand total of 50 gold pieces, which probably you don't need a whole lot of gold for druid equipment, probably.
Yeah.
Those aren't bad options, though. That's a pretty decent kit, especially quarterstaff for druids. So yeah, the main difference is you don't start off with medium armor, and they took out scimitar proficiency. But there's a lot of new features in here, which we'll talk about. Other than that, prepare spells is a new column, but it should be about the same as normal prepare stuff.
Yeah.
And cantrips still scale the same. The main difference is wild shape has more uses, though it doesn't go to, or it won't go to
So
unlimited uses.
Wild Shape is definitely has its own fair share, and a little bit we'll get to.
Yes. So spellcasting is pretty much the same. The only real addition is you can swap out your cantrips when you gain a level, which you couldn't do earlier. And then prepared casting is pretty much. You can still swap out your entire prepared list whenever you take a long rest, like old druids, which is nice. And yeah, this is all pretty much the same. Druidic is actually slightly different. So you know Druidic, the secret language of druids, but you also have Speak with Animals always prepared, which is kind of nice and very flavorful.
If you have a lot of fun with that.
Oh, this is
Yep.
also an interesting change. The ability to spot out a message's presence is a intelligence investigation check, not a wisdom perception check like in the old version, or to decipher it. Wait, others can spot the message's presence. Oh, that's just to spot it out. That's interesting that they changed it to an intelligence check, but I'm not opposed to that. Primal Order is a new feature. So there are two options that you can choose from. Magician gives you one extra cantrip, and then you get a bonus to your Intelligence, Arcana, and Nature checks equal to your Wisdom modifier. So that's kind of neat. And then Warden gives you proficiency with martial weapons and training in medium armor. You can play two very different types of druids if you want.
Also, a little bit mixed personally about the big split because having a nice combination from the get go is good. I do like with the separation that you get more with spells. However, flavor wise, I do not agree with that being called magician. That does not feel like it should be a druid thing.
Yeah, Magician
It
doesn't feel very druidy.
Warden, yes. I maybe something like shaman or something, but I don't feel like shaman might be the best replacement.
No, but I would have preferred it to Magician.
Yeah,
Would have felt
because
more.
magician,
I
that's
don't.
just wizard. That's
Yeah,
heavily a wizard.
yeah. It's. I don't agree with the name, but I like. I do like the flavor of this.
Mm.
I do like adding your wisdom bonus to these checks, just because you're not gonna have a great intelligence modifier as a druid. And it
Yeah.
makes sense for you to be kind of good, at least in nature checks. And then this is more interesting because you could play a more martial type druid. I like all martial weapons and medium armor. Alright, so let's talk about the big change to druid. The wild shape is quite different. Um, The first change is you can now wild shape as a bonus action. At least all druids can, which is kind of nice. You still stay in your form for a number of hours equal to half your druid level, or until you use wild shape again, or you have the incapacitated condition or die, and then you can leave the form early as a bonus action. It's pretty much the same, except old version said was unconscious, not incapacitated. You have a number of uses, which scales. You start with 2, and then it goes to 3, and eventually 4. You regain 1 expended use when you finish a short rest, and all uses when you finish a long rest. So it's nice that you get some additional uses. I do like this new thing of key resources regaining 1 on a short rest and all on long rest. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, more uses for a short rest. Just that spread out through the entire book and just helps out a lot there to actually use a short rest.
I like it because it gives everyone a reason to take a short rest.
Yeah, not just the warlock anymore.
Mm-hmm. This is new. So there's now a section called known forms. So now instead of having to look through the monster manual and the back of the player's handbook to figure out which beast forms you take, you just start with 4. And then you get additional ones at certain levels. There's a whole table here. So you start with 4 at level 2. The max CR you become is 1/4. And the only column here is when you can gain a fly. Choose creatures with a fly speed. So you can't choose a creature with a fly speed until 8th level. But at 4th level you have 6 forms, and then at 8th level you have 8. And then you max out at CR1 at 8th level. So that's pretty much the same. The only difference is this known forms column, and then there's no limitation on swim speed anymore. You can start off with picking animals with the swim speed if you want, which is kind of nice. You can also replace one of the forms that you know whenever you finish a long rest. So you're not stuck with the ones that you choose. So I feel like this is more like bookkeeping stuff.
Yeah, I'm not against it, but also like it does take a little bit of that freedom away from being like having a long list of like different ones you could have ready. But yeah, that makes it more simple.
Yeah, I don't think I actually kind of like this because because of how this is put in here, you're always going to know what forms you have access to change into. And then if you learn new form, if you meet creatures that you want to transform into, you have the option to swap out one of your known forms for that form whenever you take a long rest. So it's really good for bookkeeping. And I think it'll be a lot easier for players to know what they're going to change into whenever they use Wild Shape, which is kind of nice. All right. So rules while shape shifted. So here's the fun stuff. So you retain your personality, memories, and the ability to speak, which is new. So you can talk in wild shape now, which is kind of fun. And the following rules apply to you while you're in wild shape. So you gain temporary hit points equal to your druid level. So that's new. Game statistics. Oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was saying, yeah, that's a big controversy for some people.
Yeah. So when you assume a wild shape form, you gain a temporary hit points. The main difference here in game statistics is you retain your hit points and hit dice, And then all this other stuff, which is pretty much the same: intelligence, wisdom, charisma scores, class features, languages, and feats. You also retain your creature type, which is interesting. But I actually think that may be good because for the purpose of spells and stuff. You retain your skills and saving throw proficiencies and use your proficiency bonus for them, in addition to gaining the proficiencies of the creature, or if a skill or saving throw modifier in the beast stat block is higher than yours, you can use the one in the stat block. So this is the big change here. Mostly it's just the hit points and hit point die. You're no longer going to be a monster tank as a druid with a crazy amount of hit points every time you wild shape.
Which majority of Druid doesn't really affect, but if you're a Circle of the Moon, that's when the tankiness and all that, that's definitely where it gets hit.
However, there are some benefits to this change. You do not drop out of wild shape when you lose your temporary hit points. The only way that you drop out is when you go to 0 hit points, or become incapacitated, or die. Or, well, yeah, if you drop to 0, you become incapacitated. Or you could die. So there are benefits to this that are pretty good. You're going to be able to be in beast form longer during combat if you so wish.
Like, for example, if you're a flying creature in later levels, if you lose all the HP while you're in that, you don't just in the original, if you knocked out, you just become yourself and you're in the middle of the air about to fall.
Yeah.
This, you lose the HP, temporary HP, but you still got yours and still able to fly around.
Yeah, so if you want to be a lizard for the entire combat, you can do so now. No one's going to stop you unless you die. Normal things here. You can't cast spells while you're in wild shape. However, going into wild shape doesn't break your concentration with spells that you've already cast. This object section just says your ability to handle objects is determined by the form's limbs rather than your own. And then worn equipment, it will either fall in your space, it will merge into your new form, or it could be worn by your new form, depending on the form's function and size and shape. So that's kind of fun. Just trying to think of weird animals you could change into, where you could have the clothes be on the outside of them. So yeah, that's kind of some fun stuff. Wild Companion is a second level feature that was taken from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. As an action, you can expend a spell slot or use a wild shape to cast a fine familiar spell without material components. You can cast a spell. Oh, when you cast a spell in this way, the familiar is fey and disappears when you finish a long rest. So this is another way to use wild shape if you don't want to turn into animal forms, which is kind of nice. I like being able to just summon a familiar.
It's nice ulterior since, yeah, like you're saying, if you don't want to be an animal, but like you want to have that, like,
Yeah, you want to
I
have
don't
the
want to say
flavor of it.
almost like taking it a little bit from Ranger in a sense, always having an animal companion with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it does kind of feel like that because I know some of the older editions of D&D, the druid actually had a animal companion. So this does feel kind of like a kind of a moving that forward a little bit, but also like not going fully into the idea of a full animal companion. So, I mean, there's some fun from that. It's very much a It's very much a ribbon feature, but it's a fun ribbon that I kind of enjoy. Alright, Druid subclasses are at level 3 instead of level 2. You still get additional features at 6th, 10th, and 14th level. That didn't change. They just moved all subclasses to level 3, which is okay. The subclasses present in this book are Circle of the Land, Circle of the Moon, Circle of the Sea, which is an entirely new subclass, and Circle of the Stars. At levels 4, 8, 12, and 16, you gain an ability score improvement feat, or another feat of your choice for which you qualify. Level 19 is an epic boon feat, or you can choose any feat. So there's some options there. Level 5 is a new feature called Wild Resurgence. Once on each of your turns, if you have no uses of Wild Shape left, you can give yourself one use by expending a spell slot. No action required. Kind of nice. In addition, if you really needed to, you can expend one use of Wild Shape, no action required, to give yourself a level 1 spell slot, but you can't do so again until you finish your long rest. So, yeah, that's
I feel
kind
like
of neat.
my brain's just thinking here, like if maybe there's a way someone could possibly farm like temporary HP then with that beginning wild shape there, depending on like a scenario or something. Because they
May I mean, maybe each turn, but you'd have to have something that was taking out temporary hit points because they don't stack for you.
yeah, that's like you're fighting something that's just constantly hitting, and so once you're at level 5 here, you can depending on how much damage they keep doing, it's basically like a buffer.
That's true. I mean, if you really wanted to do that, you could. Maybe if you're like really hurting each turn, you could give
Exactly.
yourself some temporary hit points. That's just kind of funny. I didn't think about that. But yeah, I think this is okay. Limiting
Yeah.
it to the once per long rest because you do regain wild shape uses or one wild shape piece every short rest, so you probably would abuse that if they hadn't
Absolutely.
closed it up. Uh, it's a lot more likely you're going to be expending level 1 spell slots to give yourself wild shape uses, so that makes sense. So, yeah, I like the versatility of this, especially since there are a lot more ways for you to use wild shape in this version of the Druid, as we'll talk about. So I do really like this feature. This is something that you'll probably end up using quite a bit. At level 7, all druids get a new feature. You gain one of the following options of your choice. You can choose Potent Spellcasting, which adds your Wisdom modifier to the damage you deal with any druid cantrip. Or you can choose Primal Strike, which once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with an attack roll using a weapon or a beast form's attack in wild shape, you can cause the target to take an extra 1d8 cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage, which you choose when you hit. So that's kind of nice. I like that. Both of those are decent. And both of these also play into the Primal Order option that you chose,
Yeah.
which is kind of nice. Level 15 is Improved Elemental Fury, which is an improvement upon this feature. The Potent Spellcasting one says whenever you cast a Druid cantrip with a range of 10 feet or greater, the spell's range increases by 300 feet. That is crazy.
I love that.
And then the Primal Strike one, the extra damage of Primal Strike increases 2d8, which is also kind of nice. But the Potent Spellcasting one is kind of crazy.
I definitely know I'd be going more of the magician route on this personally.
For sure. I mean, you could still choose the Warden benefits and then end up going the Potent Spellcasting route if you really wanted to.
True, yeah, you could mix and match with it when we
Yeah.
get to that point. Which should
Yeah.
definitely be
The only one
interesting to do that.
Yeah, the only ones you can't mix and match is the option that you choose at level 7 is the one that you get at level 15.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's an upgrade for that.
Yeah. But I mean, if you really want to thorn whip someone 330 feet away, go ham.
I'm just trying to physically imagine that.
Yeah, that's a really large map. But you can do it. Yep, level 19, you get an epic boon feat, or you can choose the boon of dimensional travel, which is kind of neat. Or that's the recommended boon. But you can choose any boon you want. The boon of dimensional travel is you increase one ability square of your choice by 1 to a max of 30. And then immediately after you take the attack action or the magic action, you can teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. That's pretty neat. I like that.
I like that though. Honestly, I could see that being more effective with the Archfey Warlock. With just all that teleporting.
Yeah, for sure. I'm also thinking the boon of dimensional travel could be really crazy on Moon Druid, considering you can take forms that have multiple attacks.
Oh,
So you could teleport after every attack in Wild Shape if you wanted to, which would be kind of cool.
that would be. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. And then finally, the 20th level feature is still named Archdruid, but it does have some changes. You gain 3 things. The first is Evergreen Wild Shape. Whenever you roll initiative and have no uses of Wild Shape left, you regain 1 expended use of it. So it should be impossible for you to run out of Wild Shape uses. Nature Magician. You can convert uses of Wild Shape into a spell slot. No action required. You choose a number of your unexpected uses of Wild Shape and convert them into a single spell slot, with each use contributing 2 spell levels. For example, if you convert 2 uses of Wild Shape, you produce a level 4 spell slot. Once you use this benefit, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. At level 20, you should have 4 uses. So if you really wanted to, you could expend all of them to give you an 8th level spell slot. And then you could spend all your first level spells to regain all 4 uses back, I guess. Be kind of crazy, but you could do it. Oh, if you have no uses left, you can give yourself 1 use. Okay, so you couldn't do all of them at the same time, but you could use this feature like I just said if you wanted to. You could gain back an 8th level spell slot, which is kind of cool. And then longevity. Every 10 years that pass, your body ages only 1 year, which is the old timeless body feature.
Just mushed all into one
Yep.
feature for level 20.
Yeah, pretty decent capstone. I like it.
And then more beautiful art right below.
Nope, more druid art. Oh, look at the monkeys.
The monkeys.
I like them. I forget which the name of these. Are they gibbons? I don't remember for sure. It might not even be a monkey. It might be an ape. Or thinking about it correctly. But here's a jaguar. Here's some parrots. Oh yeah, cool art there. So yeah, that's all the features for Druid, which are pretty nice. Really, the big changes to Wild Shape, which I don't really think is a detriment to Druid at all.
Not in the general druid. Again, it's more so a big change for the specific archetype.
Yeah, for Moon Druid, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. They have made a bunch of changes to Moon Druid, so
Yeah.
we'll talk about it. It might not be as bad of a change as some people might initially think. Yeah. Druids do get some new spells. There's the Elementalism cantrip, the Starry Wisp cantrip, which is a ranged attack that deals 1d8 radiant damage, which is kind of nice. Shillelagh has seen some changes. It now scales die types at the cantrip upgrades. So it starts at a d8 and then goes to d10, d12, and then caps at 2d6. It's kind of interesting. A few of these cantrips have actually seen some changes. I'll go through here real quickly. I know Circle the Moon has most of the new spells that popped up here. One of them is this Fount of Moonlight, which we'll talk about for when we get to Moon Druid, because they have it always prepared. Other than that, Druids have a pretty decent spell list. There wasn't that much of a need for any changes. Befuddlement is just Feeble Mind. They renamed it. One thing I want to talk about before we get into actually talking about the changed subclasses is Circle of the Shepherd. If you're wanting to play an old Circle of the Shepherd, Conjure Animals is a completely different spell. So it does not work the same way that this feature talks about it. So it doesn't summon beasts anymore. It just conjures like a emanation of spiritual animals around you. So this won't work the same way. If you wanted to homebrew it to fix it, I would just change Conjure Animals to Summon Beasts, or Summon Beast at 9th level, and that should fix that.
Good to know.
Alrighty. So, Circle of the Land. Let's talk about it. So, Circle of the Land is actually quite different. Here's the art for the Circle of the Land Druid. Kind of nice.
Every time I see it, my brain thinks almost it's a Ladrin, though I know that's not.
Yeah, no, it's an elderly gnome. Kind of
It looks
interesting.
cool.
Yeah, I like all the leaf patterns and stuff. It does feel really naturey. But there's also like a sense of majesty about it as well. So celebrate connection to the natural world. So, at level 3, we get Circle of the Land spells. So, the interesting thing that they did here is whenever you finish a long rest, you choose one type of land: arid, polar, temperate, or tropical. You consult the table below that corresponds to the chosen type, and you have the spells prepared for your druid level and lower. So, old circle spells feature. You chose one. You chose one from this list here, and you were stuck with it forever. So this is pretty interesting that you can swap this out every long rest. And then there were a ton of options in the old one. There was Arctic, Coast, Desert, Forest, Grassland, Mountain, Swamp, and Underdark. There were a lot of options and a lot of spells to consider. You also got a bonus cantrip at this level as well. So what they've done is they have compiled both of those two features into the same feature, and then they've made it to where you can swap them out depending on the situation that you're in, which is pretty nice. So Arid Land gives you the Blur, Burning Hands, and Firebolt spells at 3rd level. and then at 5th level you get Fireball, 7th level you get Blight, and 9th level you get Wall of Stone. All pretty good spells. Polar Land, you get Fog Cloud, Hold Person, and Ray of Frost at 3rd level. 5th level you get Sleet Storm. 7th level you get Ice Storm, and 9th level you get Cone of Cold. That's a pretty good spell. Temperate Land, you get Misty Step, Shocking Grasp, and Sleep at 3rd level. At 5th level, you get Lightning Bolt. At 7th level, you get Freedom of Movement. And then 9th level, you get Tree Stride. And then Tropical Land has Acid Splash, Ray of Sickness, and Web. At 3rd level, 5th level is Sneaking Cloud. 7th level is Polymorph. And 9th level is Insect Plague. So, none of these spell lists are that bad.
Personally, I definitely would go Temperate early on for Misty Step and Lightning Bolt.
Yeah. But I don't think you could choose a bad option. I mean, obviously you're going to want to swap them out occasionally because you might come into a situation where it'd be really beneficial for you to have Fog Cloud for some reason, or Hold Person.
Or hearing from a druid, they're casting
Yeah,
Fireball.
or maybe you're playing around in an Arctic campaign and it'd be really beneficial for you to have a bunch of fire spells on your available to you. Or maybe you need some lightning spells. Or maybe you need to do acid and poison stuff. Or cold stuff. So I like that there's some variety. Pretty neat. I do like this change. That doesn't make...
Good.
Yeah, it's pretty nice that you can swap it out too, because then it really feels like you're connected to nature in a way that lets you adapt to it as well, which is kind of interesting. Also at level 3, we get Land's Aid. This is different from Natural Recovery. Natural Recovery was actually moved to 6th level, as we'll see in a second. So level 3, Land's Aid. As a magic action, you can expend a use of your wild shape and choose a point within 60 feet of yourself. Vitality-giving flowers and life-draining thorns appear for a moment in a 10-foot radius sphere centered on that point. Each creature of your choice in the sphere must make a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC, taking 2d6 necrotic damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. One creature of your choice in that area regains 2d6 hit points. And then the damage and healing increases by 1d6 when you reach Druid levels 10, 3d6, and 14 to 4d6. That's a nice optional way to use Wild Shape. I also like that it damages enemies and heals one ally as well.
More flexibility with this archetype.
Yeah, I actually feel like this is something that I would use if I was playing a land druid, because it's versatile and it does two things that would be good in any situation. It damages enemies and heals an ally. And it scales, so that's also nice. Alrighty. At 6th level is Natural Recovery. You can cast one of the level 1 plus spells that you have prepared from your Circle Spells feature without expending a spell slot. And you must finish a long rest before you can do so again. That is pretty nice. In addition, when you finish a short rest, you can choose expended spell slots to recover. The spell slots can have a combined level that is equal to or less than half your druid level, round up, and none of them can be level 6 plus. For example, if you're a level 6 druid, you can cover up to 3 levels worth of spell slots, la-di-da-di-da. Once you recover spell slots with this feature, you can't do so again until you finish your long rest. So yeah, this is kind of two things in one, which is pretty nice. That one is really good. And then this is also really good. What do you think?
I do like it.
Yeah. I feel like you could get a lot of bang out of your buck with that particular feature, or that particular part of it. There are some really good spells in these that would be good for a free casting. Like for one free casting of Fireball, one free casting of Cone of Cold,
Or
one free casting of
polymorph.
yeah, Polymorph or GTFO Tree Stride. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that. And then, I mean, regaining spell slots in a short rest is pretty great too. All right. So I think we are pretty much done with anything that remotely looks the same here. Level 10, Nature's Ward. Kept the name, but it's quite different. You are immune to the poison condition, and you have resistance to a damage type associated with your current land choice in the Circle of Spells feature as shown in the Nature's Ward table. So Arid, you have resistance to fire, Polar, resistance to cold, Temperate, resistance to lightning, Tropical, resistance to poison. That's pretty nice. I like that. And then level 14, you get Nature's Sanctuary. As a magic action, you can expend a use of your wild shape and cause spectral trees and vines to appear in a 15-foot cube on the ground within 120 feet of yourself. They last there for 1 minute, or until you have the incapacitated condition or die. You and your allies have half cover while in that area, and your allies gain the current resistance of your Nature's Ward while there. As a bonus action, you can move the cube up to 60 feet to ground within 120 feet of yourself. So this is a pretty neat feature.
Yeah, the resistances and being able to move with it well is what gives it
Yeah,
its peak on that.
yeah, it's really cool. It gives half cover, which is +2 to armor class and dexterity saving throws, and also gives your all allies a free resistance. And then the really cool thing is that you can move the cube 60 feet. So this is pretty neat. I really like that a lot. And this is also completely different from the old Nature Sanctuary.
Yeah.
When a beast or plant creature attacks you can make it make a wisdom saving throw. On a failure, it has to choose a different target, or it automatically misses.
It's
Completely
amazing.
different. Also, a big improvement.
A very big improvement.
Yeah. Circle of Land, pretty good changes. I like it a lot. It feels very versatile. And there's some really unique uses of Wild Shape that you could do with it. And you get some free spells and some additional spell slots. And some resistances. I like it. Pretty good. Definitely an improvement to the old version, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Alrighty. Would you like to talk about Circle the Moon?
Let's talk about that one.
Alright, well, here's the art for the Circle of the Moon Druid, which is
Which
pretty
I
nice.
love this, and then the connection has to the other art.
Yeah, this piece. Where's
Yes.
the same
It's just a little familiar.
the same cardinals with it? I like that a lot. It's really
Using
cool.
two uses of wild shape. Want to have that bird and then have him be the wolf and just going around.
Yeah, you got the familiar and stuff in wild shape. Alright, so Circle of the Moon. Adopt animal forms to guard the wilds. At level 3, we get circle forms. You can channel lunar magic when you assume a wild shape form, granting you the following benefits. Challenge rating. The maximum challenge rating for the form equals your druid level divided by 3, round down. This is the same. So that's pretty good. Armor class. Until you leave the form, your AC equals 13 plus your wisdom modifier, if that total is higher than the beast's AC. That's also pretty nice. And temporary hit points. You gain a number of temporary hit points equal to 3 times your druid level. There's the tanky part.
Yeah.
So I think this is pretty good feature just by itself. This is pretty much a we'll talk about combat wild shape. This is a kind of a buffed version of circle forms, but in a way to where it works with the new version of wild shape. Extra temporary hit points makes you feel like the tanky druid you're supposed to be. You also could have a pretty decent AC in a beast form because of this one, and then you still get those better wild shapes later down the line. So what do you think of that?
I really do think it's still good. And it takes away, like, it's not as tanky as it is. Like, using the most extreme level, if you're like a maxed out druid, in the old form, if you were transformed to a mammoth, that has over like 120 something HP. While this, if you did that, you'd get 60 HP at level 20. So that is a half difference. But again, with this other stuff and everything, it's definitely a downgrade, but it's a balanced downgrade.
Yeah. I do like that they give you additional temporary hit points because you are a moon druid. And then
Yeah,
I do like this modified armor class. I feel like both of those together really help it out.
I agree.
Yeah. So I guess as a Circle of the Moon druid, you're gonna want to really focus on your wisdom modifier, which is not a bad thing for druid. Pretty good. Also at level 3, you get Circle of the Moon spells. So when you reach a druid level specified in this table, you thereafter always have the listed spells prepared. In addition, you can cast the spells from this feature while in your wild shape forms. So these are spells that you can cast while wild shaped, which are pretty unique.
A
So
lot more healing with it.
yeah, so at 3rd level, you can cast Cure Wounds, Moonbeam, and Starry Wisp, which is that new cantrip that we were talking about. 5th level is Conjure Animals. 7th level is Font of Moonlight. And then 9th level is Mass Cure Wounds. So some pretty decent spells. The really good thing about this is that Cure Wounds is basically an upgraded combat wild shape. At least in the option to heal yourself. So you can't heal yourself as a bonus action, though you could, because you could. Well, not you can't. You can't heal yourself as a bonus action on Wild Shape. But Cure Wounds is now a 2d8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier. So it could keep you in the fight quite a bit longer because it also increases by 2d8 per spell level now. So it's a pretty good healing. Conjure Animals is going to be a damage buff. It's a good buff. It gives you advantage on strength saves while you're within 5 feet of the pack. And on your turn, you can move the pack up to 30 feet. And then the pack also can deal additional damage on your turn. 3d10 slashing.
Good amount of damage.
Yeah, decent. Font of Moonlight is going to be pretty good. So it makes you emit bright light and dim light. It gives you resistance to radiant damage, and your melee attacks deal an extra 2d6 radiant damage on a hit. this would include the wild shape forms attacks, so this could be really good. And then, in addition, when you take damage while this spell is active from a creature within 60 feet of yourself, you can take a reaction to force it to make a con save, and on a failure, it gains the blinded condition until the end of your next turn. That's pretty cool. Starry Wisp is a ranged cantrip, like I said. It's 1d8 radiant damage. And until the end of your next turn, the creature emits dim light in a 10-foot radius and can't benefit from the invisible condition. So, cool option there in case you can't get into melee with your beast form. I think Moonbeam has some tiny buffs. It deals damage when you cast it. I don't think it did that before.
I don't think so either.
Other than that, I think it's pretty much the same. Or actually, when the creature takes damage is slightly different. So the creature makes the save when the spell's area moves into its base, and when it enters the spell's area or ends its turn there. But it only takes it once per turn. So there's a lot more options for when that creature can take damage during a round. The Moonbeam is pretty decent. At least now it is. I don't think it was really great back then, but it's pretty good now. And then Mass Cure Wounds is really decent healing. It is 5d8 plus your spellcaster ability modifier to up to 6 creatures in a 30-foot radius sphere. That's a lot of healing.
Good.
Yeah. So it's pretty good third level features. Alrighty. So at 6th level, you get improved circle forms. You get Lunar Radiance. So you can choose whether your wild shape form deals its normal damage type or radiant damage with its attacks. And you can choose for each attack that it makes. It's pretty nice. You also get increased toughness, which lets you add your wisdom modifier to your constitution saving throws. This is pretty good for concentration checks on most of these spells, which are concentration. At least Moonbeam, Conjure Animals, and Font of Moonlight are concentration. So this should help making sure that you keep those active while in your wild shape. So I like this. That's pretty good. Also, this is not this specifically, but they're dealing away with making attacks magical for the purpose of overcoming resistances and immunities, because they're, for most, as far as we know, for the most part, they're taking that out of monster stat blocks. Resistance and immunity to non-magical damage, that is. So this just gives you a way to bypass resistances if you need to. It's kind of nice. I like it. Level 10, Moonlight Step. As a bonus action, you can teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see, and you have advantage on the next attack roll you make before the end of this turn. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. You can also regain uses by expending level 2 plus spell slots for each use you want to restore. No action required. So here's a really cool teleport option that you can use in and out of wild shape.
And it's a level 10 feature that makes much more sense for this than Elemental Wild Shape,
Yes.
honestly.
Their main goal here was to make it very much tied to the moon.
Honestly, because the other one felt much closer to, I guess, Circle of the Land, in my opinion. Just how like it would fit with each point.
Yeah, this is like Circle of the Elemental something or other.
Yeah.
There wasn't really a clear design to the old version.
Yeah.
And then at level 14, we get a new feature called Lunar Form. This gives you the following benefits: improved lunar radiance. Once per turn, you can deal an extra 2d10 radiant damage to a target you hit with a wild shape form's attack. That's pretty cool. And then shared moonlight. When you use Moonlight Step, you can also teleport one willing creature that is within 10 feet of you, and you can teleport it to an unoccupied space that you can see within 10 feet of your destination space. So that's pretty cool.
Got a little teleportation.
Yeah. So I haven't done any of the math on this, but with this new Moon Druid, you should have a pretty decent armor class in Wild Shape. You're going to have quite a bit of temporary hit points. And then you could make your attacks deal radiant damage if you need to. Plus, you can teleport around. Plus, you can deal this extra damage. And you also have to think this also combos with the main class's features that were the Elemental Fury, which is once per turn as well. So you could be dealing quite a bit of damage on a single attack as a Mindred. That's 2d10. At 15th level, you could deal an extra 2d8. And then you could cast Font of Moonlight, which deals an extra 2d6. And then you could also potentially, well, it's not, that doesn't factor in at all how much damage you could be dealing with one of the attacks from your wild shape form. So you could make a massive attack in wild shape with the Moon Druid if you wanted to. And you could potentially have advantage on that attack to make sure you hit as well. So
And also a
it's,
decent
yeah,
trade-off from the very beefy of the 2014 to the much more damaging and more flavorful 2024.
yeah. I mean, you're not going to be able to turn into an elemental, but I don't know. This seems like a massive improvement.
I agree.
Plus, I mean, at 18th level, you're still going to be able to turn into a mammoth. And we know a mammoth. We haven't seen the 2024 mammoth yet, but you have to think it's going to deal a lot of damage with its tusks.
Yeah.
It's at least 40. I think the old version was, what, 4d10 plus, like, 7 or something like that?
I
Or
think so for like
40-10.
the stomp, yeah.
Yeah, like 4d10 plus 6 or something like that.
So
Yeah. So, yeah, I think this is going to scale pretty great at all levels of play if you really want to focus on wild shaping into beasts. Plus, I don't know if they're going to do this, but I would almost guarantee that they're going to turn owlbear into a beast so that you can wild shape into an owlbear.
it makes the most sense, especially after the D movie.
Yeah, I would almost guarantee it, even though I don't know for sure. It would make a lot of sense for them to do it. So I actually don't have anything to pull up on this side because Circle the Sea is a completely new subclass. Become one
Let's
with
look at
tides and storms. So you gain Circle the Sea spells, which are always prepared for you. Third level, you have Fog Cloud, Gust of Wind, Ray of Frost, Shatter, and Thunder Wave. All pretty decent spells. Fifth level is Lightning Bolt and Water Breathing. Seventh level is Control Water and Ice Storm. And ninth level is Conjure Elemental and Hold Monster. Pretty decent spell list. Some pretty heavy hitting spells.
And that's where the whole the elementals went to that level 9 spell.
Yeah. Also, here's the art for this particular character.
Which that's a Goliath, right?
Yes, I believe this is a storm Goliath,
Hmm.
if I'm not mistaken. So they're the only ones that are really like water themed. Also, there's a bunch of light. There's also lightning spells in here, so that makes me want to believe even more that that's a storm Goliath. All right. So also at third level, you get Wrath of the Sea. As a bonus action, you can expend a use of your wild shape to manifest a 5-foot emanation that takes the form of ocean spray that surrounds you for 10 minutes. It ends early if you dismiss it, no action required, manifest it again, or have the incapacitated condition. When you manifest the emanation, and as a bonus action on your subsequent turns, you can choose another creature you can see in the emanation. The target must succeed on a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC, or take cold damage, and if it is large or smaller, be pushed up to 15 feet away from you. To determine this damage, roll a number of d6s equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of 1 die. This seems
Okay.
pretty good. It
Very
is
interesting.
it is only a 5-foot emanation, but we don't really have to worry about that because at 6th level it becomes a 10-foot emanation. And then at 6th level you also gain a swim speed equal to your speed. That is aquatic affinity.
I will say I'm very curious why you get that 6, the swim speed, not at level 3. Like when you get the archetype, because I feel like
Oh, like
that's
the
the
emanation increase?
no, the swim speed. Because I feel like that should be almost like a basic thing you get if you're, a sea druid.
Oh, I mean, I suppose it's just because of where they wanted to give certain things at certain levels.
Yeah, I guess.
Mm. I do think this emanation may be pretty decent though.
I do like it, yeah.
So it's a bonus action when you manifest it, and on subsequent turns, you have to pass a con save, or they take cold damage and can be pushed up to 15 feet away. And it's decent damage because it scales with your wisdom modifier. So super effective at low levels,
Yeah.
but also decent at later levels since it's just a bonus action to deal it. Granted, it is a con save, so you're not gonna. It may not be effective against every creature. But yeah, that's pretty decent ability, I think. At level 10, you gain 2 benefits while Wrath of the Sea is active. Alright, good to know. You gain a fly speed equal to your speed. That's cool. And you have resistance to cold, lightning, and thunder damage. That's pretty good too. At level 14, Oceanic Gift. Instead of manifesting the emanation of Wrath of the Sea around yourself, you can manifest it around one willing creature within 60 feet of yourself. That creature gains all the benefits of the emanation and uses your spell save DC and wisdom modifier for it. In addition, you can manifest the emanation around both the other creature and yourself if you expend 2 uses of your wild shape instead of 1 when manifesting it. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you are really focusing on using Wrath of the Sea probably every combat. But you do gain some pretty good features from using it. I do like that you can do this around both yourself and an ally. That's pretty cool. It's also really cool because you're giving that ally a fly speed and those resistances as well when you do that.
Ride the storm.
And then that ally, I would give this on allies that don't have a lot to do with their bonus action because then they can also benefit from dealing this damage stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I like that a lot. This would be a pretty potent combo, I think, with a barbarian. Because barbarians don't use their bonus actions that often. I like it though. I think it's a decent new subclass.
Very
It's,
interesting with all of it being heavily focused with the Wrath of the Sea.
yeah, it's very flavorful. It does feel very like sea oriented. Like Ocean's Wrath. Alright. Circle of the Stars.
Which again, the art's just hitting off. That is so
Yeah, this
beautiful.
this art is next world. It is very pretty. I want to say this is the Dragon constellation.
I believe so.
But yeah, this is really cool. Alright, so at third level, we gain Star Map, which is a tiny object that we can use as a spellcasting focus for our druid spells. We determine its form by rolling on the Star Map table or by choosing one. While holding the map, we have the Guidance and Guiding Bolt spells prepared, and we can cast Guiding Bolt without expending a spell slot, a number of times equal to our Wisdom modifier, and we regain all uses when we finish a long rest. If we lose the map, we can perform a 1 hour ceremony to magically replace the map, which we can perform during a short or long rest. And it also destroys the previous map when we do so. These map forms are pretty much exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, those are pretty much the same. Starry form, still a bonus action to cast. Or not to cast, when we expend a spell shape. Feature use. This I don't think there's really any changes to this feature at all. Still sheds bright light in 10-foot radius, dim light for an additional 10 feet. Still lasts for 10 minutes. We can dismiss it early, no action required. Or if we become incapacitated, or use the feature again. They did take out die from here, which is kind of funny. I guess they didn't need die in there because if you become incapacitated, you're unconscious and dying.
Makes sense, yeah.
So ideally,
Yeah,
it should already be dropped. When you stream your starry form, you choose one of the constellations to appear on your body. The archer, you activate this form, and as a bonus action on your subsequent turns while it lasts, you can make a ranged spell attack, pulling a luminous arrow that targets one creature within 60 feet of yourself. On a hit, the attack deals radiant damage equal to 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier. That's the same.
Yeah, I think they're all the same still.
Yeah. Your chalice, when you cast a spell using a spell slot that restores hit points to a creature, you or another creature within 30 feet of you can regain hit points equal to 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier. That's the same. Dragon, when you make an intelligence or wisdom check or a constitution saving throw to maintain concentration, you can treat a roll of 9 or lower on the d10 9 10. Yep, those are exactly the same. Level 6, Cosmic Omen. Until you finish your long rest, flip the map and roll a die until you finish your next long rest. You gain access to a special reaction based on whether you rolled an even or an odd number on the die. Even when a creature you can see within 30 feet of you is about to make a d20 test, you can take a reaction to roll 1d6 and add the number rolled to the total. That's the same. Odd, whenever a creature you can see within 30 feet of you is about to make a d20 test, you can make a reaction and roll a d6 and subtract the number rolled from the total. That's the same as well. You can use the reaction a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, and regain all you pieces when you spend, or when you finish a long rest. So they changed it from proficiency bonus to wisdom modifier. Twinkling constellations. The constellations of your starry form improve. The d8 of the Archfiend Chalice becomes 2d8. And while Dragon is active, you have a fly speed of 20 feet and can hover. That's the same. Moreover, at the start of each of your turns while in your starry form, you can change which constellation glimmers on your body. That's the same as well. Level 14, full of stars. While in your starry form, you become partially incorporeal, giving you resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. That's the same as well. Yeah, they pretty much made 0 changes to the Cool of the Stars, which honestly
It's already good.
Yep, didn't need any changes. So, yeah, that is the Druid. Yeah, Circle of the Stars, still very good. Circle of the Sea, decent. I like the flavor of it.
I definitely don't agree with some people where it got a big hit, but I can see where the controversy came in. But I think all in all, it is very good.
Yeah, I feel like this is more nautical themed. I don't know if I would choose this if I wasn't playing in a nautical type campaign, but it's still
Very
has
thematic.
it is very thematic. It
I can
has
see though
options
why
that you can use
they
outside of it.
made this for it, just because unlike doing any of the other archetypes you see in 2014, this is now land, sea, moon, and stars, kind of all you see in nature and everything. So
Yeah, I like
I
the
can see why
dichotomy.
they felt like they needed to make a Circle of the Sea.
hmm Pretty decent. I like it. Circle the Moon seems pretty good. It's probably still the most powerful subclass.
Yeah, especially with all the additional damaging attack with like
hmm
Luniform 2d10 Radiant.
We really know how much more improved it is whenever the Monster Reno comes out, and there's a lot more beasts to choose from.
We'll have to wait next year for that 2024 book.
Yeah, and then I like the new and improved Circle of Land. I like the versatility of it. It seems pretty well thought out.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, this is video editing Brayden here. I had to cut this video into 2 parts because immediately after we finished discussing the class, we decided to look at all the B stat blocks in the player's handbook. Obviously, that took quite a bit of time, so I am splitting this into 2 parts. The next part, or the next video to come out, will be the video on all those beast stat blocks. So keep an eye for that on Monday. So I'm actually going to end the video here. Sorry for the cutout. We'll catch you all in the next video. Hope you all have a great one. See ya.